going, dog? Mate, ain't going, Bert. What's going on, dog? How we looking? Good to go? Good afternoon, everybody. How you going? Rick Smith from Haverwood Tiny Homes. Thanks for joining us on our Sunday afternoon live. Now, what we do here on a Sunday afternoon, we like to answer all the questions that have happened or that have come to us during the week. So we've got a heap tonight, so it's got to be short and sharp. So if you've got any questions, make sure you smash them up on the screen. I've got my glasses on, so I should be able to read them. And make sure you do all the Google stuff. I never sort of say this, but when I watch the Google YouTube and that, people say, make sure you like us and follow us and spread the word and all that sort of stuff. So make sure you do all that sort of Google stuff, and that sort of gets us out and about, and so we can answer a lot more questions for all the people out in the big bad world. So how's everyone's week going? I hope you had a fantastic week. I mean, we've been flat out. There's heaps going on, and which is just awesome. I love being flat out. You know what they say, if you want to get something done, ask a busy man. I'm busy. Is it a word that's more than busy? Because I'm flat out like a lizard drinking. Crikey. I actually want to have a bit of a rant. So while you're getting settled in, get yourself a drink. I've got me cup of tea. It's all happening. But listen, I'm going to have a bit of a rant, okay? This week I had a mate from church asked me if his daughter could come and do work experience, okay? She's about 14. I said, yeah, no problem, man, no problem. Anyway, I'm sure she won't mind me saying her name, young Gabby. She came in and worked with this week, and oh my gosh, what an absolute workhorse. And a credit to their parents. This young Gabby, she just was driven. She just wanted to work. What can I do now? What can I do now? And 14 years old, and she's just going for it, you know. So I point her in the right direction. She's into it, and I was so impressed. 14 years old, young lady, wants to be a builder. You give her a run, and she's just ready to get in amongst it, you know. So, here's a question. We've got a question. I'll come back to my rant in a moment. Percentage-wise, how many tiny homes are actually homes as opposed to accommodation? This is from Kathy. Truth be known, right now, most of Havenwood's tiny homes are actually going to owner-occupier. So not as many B&Bs at this stage, although we've got a few going through as B&Bs, but I mean, I would go so far as to say probably 80-90% of our homes are actually being invested as owner-occupier, because I think because our homes are 3 metres wide and they're 4.6 metres high, which means you can actually stand up upstairs. So what that means is people sort of look in them as, it's like a mobile granny flat, really. So there's so much room in them. So to answer your question there, Kathy, most of our homes are actually owner-occupied, which is awesome, which is great. And that's like, I think I've mentioned this before, but one thing I'm loving about the tiny home industry is that I'm actually talking and dealing with, and our clients are like-minded with myself and Shani and I, in that we want to sort of get away from the politics, get away from the bureaucracy, just get away from the big debt, big mortgages, live simply, get rid of all the stuff, and just live small. There's no need to have all this stuff. The world will tell you that you need all this stuff. And, you know, at the end of the day, what's the stuff do? You don't need stuff. You know, just get rid of it. Live simply. And then all of a sudden, you've only got a small mortgage, or you can pay for it cash, but it's not a big outlay. So what that means is that you don't have to work as hard. You don't have to flog yourself into the ground and work, you know, mad hours. And, you know, whether you're shift workers and mum and dad are both working 9 to 5, 6 days a week to pay the mortgage and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, why go there? Like, who says you got to do that? You know, the world will tell you that that's what you got to do, but that's what the government wants you to do, because that's where they get the taxes from and all the rest of it, you know. But, you know, if you start living simply, and I think that's what I'm loving about the tiny home industry. It's not going to go away, because it's affordable housing. It's live simply, and Libby, yes, live smart and simple. So agree. Yeah, great comment, Libby. Yeah, that's it, Libby. You don't need all this stuff. Get away from the mortgage, because it's the overall, like, husband, wife, boy and girlfriend, whatever the case may be, young family. If you've got that mortgage stress, all of a sudden, then that causes drama within your relationship because you're stressing over the finances, and then you don't have kids because you can't afford it. I mean, you'll never afford kids, trust me on that one. but it's like this cycle that's happening that's just grinding people into the ground, and then that causes the breakups and the marriage breakdowns and all the rest of it. So it's just, I just think we need to refocus what counts. Go back to I grew up on a show, I don't know if anyone remembers it, it just shows my age actually, Little House on the Prairie. And I watched it when it was the first run. That gives you an idea how old I am. I'm an old fart. Anyway, but it was about living simply, it was about looking after your family, working, but then you had your family, a nice tidy little house, kept the rain off, nice and warm. That's all you needed, but you don't need the big flash car. You don't need the big flash furniture. End of the day, who cares? You don't have to keep up with the Joneses, So I reckon the tiny house movement can actually, I don't know, restart the especially Australia. Let's kickstart this movement that actually says, stuff you government, stuff you people, and stuff you world. We don't need all your stuff. Let's just go back to basics. Let's look at relationships. Let's look at family. Let's look at children. Let's get them off the Google for starters. Get them out in the bush. Get them to start working and all this sort of thing. So and I'll tap back into what I was chatting earlier. Young Gabby that has come and done a week's work experience. Now I think she's 14 years old, homeschooled, but obviously her parents have really shown her work ethics and what to do and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I was so impressed by these 14-year-olds. Now, I've had some first-year apprentices over the last 12 months, 2 years. And, oh my gosh, I've had to sack a couple. Some I didn't even give a run because these are guys, young blokes, like probably, 16, 17 years old. And honestly, they got nothing. They're just going nowhere. It's like, I had a young guy rings me the other day. Oh yeah, my school work experience dude says, careers advisor, says that you're looking for apprentices, and I'm looking for a job. And I said to this young guy, I said, okay, so you're looking for a job. Are you looking for a job? Are you looking for a career? I said, what work experience have you done? Now this kid would probably be 17 years old. He's going to year 11, so I don't know, 16, 17, something like that. And he said, I did a bit of labouring once. And I said, well, what makes you think you want to be a builder? And he said, I read about it and the careers at school and said some of the stuff. And I thought, I'll give that a go. I said, mate, I don't just give people a go. I educate them. I train them. I sow into them. I actually want them to be, by the time they come out of our workshop, to be experienced tradesmen. I don't give anyone a go, and don't come to me thinking you're just going to give it a go, I'm just having a rant here today because I can't believe these kids coming to me. They've just got no idea. And I'll tell you what, mum and dad, schools, whatever, you need to start getting back, bring the cane back, man. Just flog these kids, man. Because we need to get them going again, man, because I tell you what, I know, I'm just having a rant. I'm sorry about that, but I'm just having a rant because when I got a young 14-year-old girl come to me, work the legs off of, just go hard all day. When she didn't have something to do, she'd grab a broom, clean up. I mean, the factories never looked so clean. I just can't believe it because when she wasn't doing something, and then I had our fourth-year apprentice, a young lady who's just turned tradesman now, and she was showing her the ropes and stuff like this. Man, I'm just loving it. But some of these girls are running the rings off you young fellas. And I'll tell you what, you need to pick up the game, boys, because I'll tell you what, it's, I've got a question here, marriage. Do you build tiny homes all on one level? Yes. Marriage celebrant. Oh, sorry, there's no name there, so I can't say your name because there's no name on it. Yes, we've got a couple of models that are single level. that actually lend itself to single level. We do them as a 2 level, but then if you want to do them as a single level, we just drop off the 2 upstairs lofts. So that obviously reduces the price, reduces the weight, and then of course when we go to single level, we can actually make them longer. So we get up to 9.2, 10 metres long, 11 metres long if we just go the single level, you know. So I think I finished my rant, so I better move on with some questions because I'm just an old dinosaur. But I'll tell you what, these kids just need to step up to the plate, man. I'm over it. Okay, number 2, is that bump out model home that we're building going to be a standard model? Well, no, it won't be a standard model, but I mean, people have got the choice. They can actually do it. Okay, so that'll come under our custom build setup. The way we're working now, we've got all our standard models, which are all online, so you can jump on there and pick up one of your standard models, which means basically there's only minimal changes you can make to that. It might be colours, might be extra windows, but standard size windows. You can't just sort of start, you know, redesigning the wheel. If you go down that path, you've actually got to go into our custom queue, which means we've actually got a $3,000 design fee straight up front because we've got to go to an architect. We've got to redesign this thing. We've got to tick all the boxes. We've got to make sure you're happy with it. A combination of things that does is slows your job down because we've got to tick all the boxes. And also because we've got to do that to make sure that we give you what you're after. So we need to make sure everything's itemised and marked up and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to go for a custom design, we do it. But it just means you go into a different, which is going to add time to the job. Because we've got to order the different windows, we've got to change the kitchen, so there's a lot of redesign happening when you go into the custom queue. So either way, custom queue or our standard design. So, but the bump out model won't be a standard model; it'll go into our custom queue. You know. And actually, question number 3 is probably tapping into that same line. It says, "Can you build to our plans?" Yes, we can. But once again, you just go into our custom queue, which, you know, you just need to take a chill pill. You need to slow down because it's going to take longer to build. There's changes that need to be made, and all of those things just slow down the building process. Not because, I mean, we can bang these things out, no problem at all. But if you're changing stuff, you're making alterations, architects, kitchen suppliers, kitchen designers, all of that comes into play. So it will actually slow down the construction process. So you need to sort of slow up a little bit and think, okay, this is going to take, you know, 2, 3, 4 months extra, purely because we want to make sure we tick those boxes and we give you what you're after. Whereas if you go with one of our standard models, it's a tick and a flick, just choose your colours, a couple extra windows, mate, we can bang them out. No problem at all. Number 4, once we receive our home, can we install more PowerPoints? Well, yeah, because the way our homes are actually designed and built is that we've got a cavity on the outside of our homes, which means you can actually put in extra PowerPoints. And depending on if it's a vertical cladding, like you have, what do you call it? Vertical, depends if you've got vertical or horizontal battens. So we can actually, we can show you how to do all that anyway. We've got a question here from Sandy Jamison. Can you have a bath shower in any designs? Pretty well, Sandy, yes we can. Depending, I suppose, the size of the bath. We've actually put baths in our 1200 shower bays, which is no, because you can obviously buy baths at 1200 wide. We've done up, we've got a model going through at the moment. It's got a 1500 millimetre bath in. So depending on which model it is, and so we'd actually incorporate it as a, like you said, a bath shower. So you've got your bath, and then you've got all your shower taps and shower rows and all that sort of stuff above it. So, and then you put a screen around that, so you can actually use it as a shower and or a bath. So the answer to that question is yes, Andy, sure can, no problem at all. Tell me more about the gantry. Is it more expensive? Well, you've probably seen it on our couple of our lives and our walkthroughs and stuff like that. We don't actually do them as a standard model, but they're an optional extra. They don't come into the custom side of things because they're a pretty simple fix for us. So we actually give you a bit of a, it's the gantry is offset with our powder coated aluminium aluminium ladder. So if rather than accessing your second loft with a powder coated aluminium ladder, we actually build your gantry in lieu of. So that's sort of a bit of a trade-off. So the only extra expense is the actual handrail itself, which might be around $500 or $600. So not a huge expense, but a little bit extra to go for the gantry model. Most of our clients that go for the gantry are going for the flat roof, which means you can actually walk straight on the gantry without having to actually bend over a little bit. You know, in our pitch roof models, if you have the gantry, you've got to bend over a little bit. You still walk along. You don't have to crawl. You still walk, but just on a bit of a slope, you know. So, well, I guess it depends how tall you are. My tiny home is going to be parked in a shaded area. Do you sell solar trailers? Well, okay, I've got a cheaper alternative, and we've actually done this for a client at the moment. His home was in a shaded area. We had as you're aware, most of our homes actually have the solar panels mounted on the tiny home, and then we put all the inverter and batteries and whatnot in a massive toolbox on the front of the home to actually control all the solar and whatnot. What we worked out on this particular client is that there wasn't enough sunshine to actually motor up and give the batteries the deep charge that they require. So what we did, a bit of a retrofit. We actually organised some stands, and solar panels out in the full sunlight, out from underneath. So we're copping probably about 8 hours of sunshine versus 3. And so we actually just did that as a heck of a lot cheaper alternative there, I guess, than a solar trailer, because obviously you've got the cost of the trailer and rego and all the rest of it. So with the stands that we've organised, a lot cheaper alternative. So yes, we can organise alternative solar, solar, you know what I'm saying, generation, power, whatever you're going to call it, where we can put it out in the sunshine. But rather than go to the expense of the infrastructure of an actually trailer itself, we've got the just a stands we've organised out in the sunshine with some cable that'll just go through to the tiny home. But we're keeping all the main infrastructure, so all your batteries and your inverter are actually still all mounted on the tiny home itself. So all you need to, if you ever relocate, all you got to move is the actual solar panels and the stands that we've organised. So a lot simpler setup than having to tow another trailer. And what that does is keep the overall cost down and makes it more affordable as well. Are you exhibiting at the Tiny House Carnival in Melbourne? Yes, we got a few shows we're doing in the Tiny House circuit with Faye. Melbourne, we've never exhibited down in Melbourne before, so I'm really looking forward to stepping down to Melbourne, which is going to be great. Melbourne, then we've got Hawkesbury in Sydney, and then up to Cleveland again up in Brisbane. So looking forward to doing the circuit this year with Faye, which is going to be awesome. Oh, and Melbourne. Oh, we've done a little bit of homework. Well, Shani has done a little bit of homework on Melbourne, and the tweaks that they sort of do down there. And this home that we're taking down there, it's a modified Charlo, but I tell you what, I think you're going to be impressed. You've got to see this. It's just coming together now. We're actually building it in the factory now. I was going to take our glamping tent model down there, but I'm thinking, no, we got to hit the ground running. And so we've in our construction queue, we always allow to do a speccey on the way through, a couple every month, you know, and every couple of months. And this one here is coming through. It's a modified Charlo, but it's just going to have that Melbourne touch. So I think you've got to be pretty impressed when you see this thing. I'm excited. It's going to be unreal. So really looking forward to showcasing that in Melbourne. Oh gosh, when's that? That's at the end of March. That show will be, and I've got a lot of ground. We have started. It's under construction, and I've got a few favours to pull in my kitchen firm because it's a new design, so he's got to do a whole new kitchen and stuff. So anyway, he'll no doubt pull it together. So looking forward to exhibiting down in Melbourne with Faye. Did you get flooded again in the torrential rains last week? Oh my gosh, if you live in the Illawarra or thereabouts, man, we had some serious rain. That was, Like I've been around, like a bit of an old dinosaur, but I tell you what, I've seen some rain, but this stuff was just smashing down. just kept coming, and it was huge. But thank you. In our display village, the railways several months ago now, they've actually cleaned all the creek that's beside our home, beside our display village, and it just worked perfectly. The flood waters just went straight through, bypassed the actual showroom part of our display. We've actually poured a slab 400 mil higher than the flood level, and it worked perfect. So we're just starting to G that up now and get the aftermarket showroom going. I'm really looking forward to cracking that open. So that's got to be great. So even if people have bought tiny homes from other firms, there'll be aftermarket stuff that you can actually come in and buy from Havenwood. So I'm looking forward to cracking that open. Probably. We've covered a bit of ground. Shani's really starting to get the show on the road there, but I reckon another month or so and we'll be able to crack that open, you know. Funny, true story. True story. I spoke the other week about how there was a new resort opened up the road from our farm, and we thought we'd go and support the local resort, you know. And anyway, they'd done such a good marketing job that they were just overwhelmed when the people turned up. Never had enough staff, and as it turned out, we skipped home without paying the bill. But then I had to turn around and go back and pay the bill. Anyway, one of my daughters is just in year 11 now, and told her of the store, and she said, I just really want to help them because I want to see these guys succeed, you know. So she's already doing a year 11 and got a day job. She works weekends and holidays in Kiama. And anyway, so we slip up there, and then I'll tell them the manager, the CEO of the place, me story, and how we'd sort of skipped out without paying the bill. And she said, you and everybody else. So apparently on the night, so many people just went home and just never paid their bill. I thought, man, I don't care if the food was bad or service was slow or this or that. I'm still going to pay my bill, man. So I just couldn't believe when she said they lost about $3,000 on the night because people just skipped out without paying the bill. Man, I'll always pay my bill. Always got to pay me way. I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow. I've got a question here from Michelle. I can't see beams on your website under pricing and optional extras. Is that still an option as a feature? Absolutely, Michelle. Yes, we do the beams. I'm not sure. We've had a bit of a reconfiguration of our overall website and pages, and we're just sort of fine-tuning it now and sort of getting that happy medium. And yes, the beams are still available and we still can do them, but just it comes down to what model you choose, because obviously if you go for, say, a gantry model, we can't put the beams in because where you walk through on the gantry side, you won't be able to walk because the beams will be in the road. So if you go for, say, a pitch roof or a flat roof model and without the gantry, the beams are still fully accessible, and you can still put the beams in, you know. So because off the beams we like to we'll hang the fan, which is comes into our standard inclusions, a fan, and also our barn light that will hang over the dining table. So yes, the beams are still available. So if you want to do that, just let us know and we can get that sorted, you know. So actually, I just want to mention as well with our standard designs, is that if you want to utilise any of your existing, like whether it be a refrigerator or whatnot, we need to know that up front. Okay, so if you're going to do a design and come into our standard designs, if you've got a larger fridge than 600 millimetres, we need to know that, because when we allocate our kitchen window, that's actually positioned within the first day. We need to know where that window's going to go. So if you've got a larger fridge, that means we need to bump that window across 100 mil than 600. So we need to know about that all up front. So just things like that. To an extent, we'll accept some changes in our standard designs, but once you sort of start crossing that line and it starts, we've got to order stuff and change plans, then all of a sudden you've got to go in that custom queue. So just be mindful of that, okay, because we've got a fairly tight outfit there, and once we do up our job sheets, we start cranking these things like we don't muck around. People are sort of blown away within 2 days. All of a sudden, it's just whoa, the home's built, the structure's done, the windows are cut out, the flooring's going in. It's quick. Yeah, it's just we don't muck around. That's why we like to nail all this stuff down, because otherwise, with our 2 construction bays now, we definitely cover a lot of ground in a short period of time. So just be mindful of that. If you do want to do any changes, we need to know. And we sort of got to weigh up then if it does go into our custom queue or it comes under our standard, But, hey, listen, I've got homemade pizza on again tonight, and I've rattled on enough. And but just remember, during the week, if you've got any questions, make sure you slip them through to us so we can smash them up on the screen, on the Google here, and I can answer them on the following week. And but we're things are looking good. Hey, next week, big surprise. Next week, got a guest speaker next week. One of the beautiful people, not an old dinosaur like me. I'm going to let you say that another bit. I'm just going to say he is probably about 20 years my junior. He's not an old fart like me. So I'm going to bring him into the play. I haven't even told him yet, but I was mate, you're just going to come on. And so we're going to get some beautiful people at him rather than us old dinosaurs. So I reckon that might work. Because everyone's sick of looking at me getting a bit long in the tooth, So remember, if you've got any questions during the week, make sure you smash them up smash them through the storm. We'll get it all happening. We'll answer them on the following Sunday. And but have a great week and look after yourself. And hooroo.